is known, well, first of all, what we want to do is figure out what f of x is from the graph. So I know that I have a vertex at 6, 3. And then if I look at my slope or my rise value, my rate of change going up, it's 3 to the right and negative 3 to the left. So I have a graph 3 times the absolute value of x minus 6 plus 3. So now what I want to do is I want to be able to transform this in terms of other things. So it is known that g of x is this function. So my job here is going to be, I'll move this down or at least copy it so then we can kind of see it later. My job is to write f of x in terms of g of x and g of x in terms of f of x. So what does that mean? That means that this answer for number 1 is going to be f of x equals blah, 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 g of blah, 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 plus blah, blah, blah. That's kind of what it's going to look like. And likewise, for this one, it's going to look something like this. So our objective is to figure out what's happening. Okay, so I'm going to graph g on the graph so that we can kind of see what's happening. So g has a vertex at -1, 10, and my vertical stretch and shift thing is a -5. So -1, 10 is going to be up here, and then down 5 over 1 on both sides looks something like this. So this is g and this is f. Okay, so what do I have to do to the x values to get from g to f? Because that's basically what's happening. If I'm writing f of x in terms of g of x, I have to take g and turn it into f. So the x values from g, the vertex was at -1. The new vertex is going to be at +6. So what do I have to do to the x values? If I'm moving from g to f, I have to move them to the right 7. So that means this is going to be x minus 7. Because in order to move from g to f, I move the x values right 7. And that's most prominently displayed in the vertex because the x value was -1 and it has to become 6. Okay, now let's go back to what we just learned on the previous slide. When we have something with this, how do I want to put it? When we have something with the y values and we have two things going on, this always happens first. Okay, that always happens first. And so if that happens first, I have to treat the multiplying as the first thing that I do, and then I figure out what I do after that. So if I'm looking from G to F, it was -5, the multiplier. It becomes +3. How do I turn 5 or -5 into +3? How do I multiply something by -5 and turn it into +3? I multiply by -3/5, because -5 times -3/5 gives me 3. So that is what I'm going to have to do here. I have to multiply by -3/5. So I'm going to take whatever I originally had at G. What was my original vertex for G? My original vertex for G was at 10. I have to multiply that by negative 3/5. So what's 10 times negative 3/5? Well, that's negative 6, right? 10 times negative 3/5 gives me negative 6. And then I eventually have to get it to positive 3. So my y value was at 10. When I multiply by negative 3/5, now it's down here somewhere at negative 6. I have to get it up to 3. So how do I get negative 6 up to 3? I have to add 9. So the first thing I do is I multiply by negative 3/5, and then from what I get, I have to add 9. So this would be writing f of x in terms of g of x. Okay. I'm going to do one more thing where I write g of x in terms of f of x. So that's basically going backwards. Okay. So y here, I multiplied by negative 3/5, and then I added 9. Question? So g of x in terms of f of x, I'm going to do the opposite thing. So I'm starting at f, and then I have to get to g. So if I start at f, I had x at positive 6, and it gets to negative 1. So how do I go from positive 6 to negative 1? I have to move to the left 7. Okay, I have to move to the left 7. So since I'm moving to the left 7, what that means is I have to put a plus 7. I don't know why the colors just randomly change sometimes. Then the y always has the multiplying first. So what happened in f? In f, I'm sorry, what was I doing? I'm going from f to g, right? So I had 3, and I need to get to negative 5. So how do I get from 3 times something to be negative 5? I multiply by negative 5/3. Okay, so I multiply by negative 5/3. So let's take a look at the vertex. What was the vertex in f? The y value of the vertex in f was 3. When I multiply by negative 5/3, it becomes negative 5. And then what do I have to have it end at? It has to end at 10. So how do I get it to end at 10? Well, negative 5 plus something will get me to 10, right? Plus 15. So that ends up taking me from 3. When I multiply, it's negative 5. Then I have to move it up by 15 in order to get it to where it kind of belongs.